Good morning. Can you all hear me? First of all, apologies. This is a very dry presentation. I didn't have any time to put any amusing slides or anything like that. So it's early morning for you, but for me too. So it's a very practical presentation about a project we've done. And the title gives you a little bit of a hint. It's about metadata and using AI. So let's dive right into it. If that works. See? Oh no, something is gone awry. Yes.
It's not working?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're here. All right, just first a little bit about meemoo. We're actually a non-profit. We're there for archives in a broader sense. So we work for cultural, media, and government archives. We provide advice and practical support and services. Services like digitization, digital archiving, and management for archival materials. We work for a very diverse group of content partners, we call them, because we needed a kind of a generic term to gather them all. So it's performing arts organizations, a lot of museums, archives, heritage societies, broadcasters as well, regional and national broadcasters. So a lot of different and diverse content partners. And we have a collaborative model. We work with them in a complementary way. So they, of course, have domain knowledge about what they're collecting, what they're putting in their archives. That's something we don't have, or could never have, in view of the broadness of our audience, of our partner group. They manage the materials as well, so they do the collection management, and they also prepare physical materials for digitization. We concentrate on economies of scale, like grouping carriers and tendering procedures for digitization. Also, in terms of storage, there's a lot of economies of scale, of course. So we have a central archival system that's available to them. And of course, there's a knowledge component as well. The added value, though, is not only cost, but it's also quality. Because we do those services for a lot of different organizations, there's also a standard of quality that's being upheld for them. That's often not reachable for them individually. Certainly for the smaller partners, if you're a performing arts company, you don't have an archival specialist or a technical or an IT person available that will do AI processing of your data, for example. So that's something we can provide them and also standardize the outcomes for them. Just a couple of figures. We have 172 content partners. We have about 6 million or more than 6 million objects in our archival system, about 25 petabytes of data for the moment. We've digitized 540,000 carriers in the last 10 years. We also have a platform called the Archive for Education, where we make archival material available to, logically, education partners, schools and students. And I think that's about what I wanted to tell you, but just a little bit of a plug is we also have some of our tools or some of our knowledge is also internationally available or in English. One of them is Know Your Carrier. It's a very handy, very easy tool to use. It's to identify your audiovisual and photographic carriers. It's been added, the photographic part has been added last year, so now you can easily recognize which type of carrier you have in your, for example, for if you're a private person in your attic, or if you're an archive and you don't know what type of material you're getting in, you're receiving when you receive that box, that cardboard box, then this tool will help you identify correctly what you have. Now, this is Matthias. I'm the general manager of meemoo. This is Matthias. He is the manager of our archiving and infrastructure services, and he's actually the one who's really knowledgeable at the project I'm about to present, but he is not here, so you'll have to do with me. What is the GIF project? So I'm presenting part of this project, which was much bigger. It stands for the Coordinate Initiative for Flemish Heritage Digitization. The abbreviation doesn't work, but it makes sense in Dutch. There's 4 tracks in that: digitizing masterpieces, digitizing newspapers and glass plates, and the 4th, which is what I'm about to tell you about today, is metadata enrichment using AI. So we'll focus on that. So the obvious case or the obvious challenge is adding metadata in a manual way. It takes a very long time, and it's not cost efficient. And there's also other issues like having enough knowledge to annotate material is quite a challenge. So our scope in the GIF metadata project was speech to text, where we wanted as an output transcripts of the audio. We wanted to do named entity recognition on those transcripts, so have output with semantics and links to authentic sources like Wikidata. And thirdly, do face detection and recognition, so metadata updates with identified or people or identified identified faces anyway. We also wanted uniform metadata, and we wanted to link them to external authorities as much as possible. What's the scale? As I told you, we have more than 170 partners. This was mainly focused because of the funding mechanism on the cultural partners and the government partners. We wanted to do speech, text, and entity recognition on about 130,000 archived items, 160,000 hours of media, and face detection and recognition on about 100,000 archived items for a very, as I said, diverse group of partners, meaning also a very diverse set of content. It's not broadcast material, certainly not. So important for us, as we are in a collaborative model with our partners and we work in a complementary way, involving our partners was really important to us. So we tried to take them along every step of the way. We did a call for participation in the beginning of the project, which was about 2.5 years ago. From the 120 involved partners, there's about 10 partners who delegated somebody into a very active working group who were involved in the different aspects of the project. So there's the legal aspect. Sorry, some of the content is in Dutch, but if it is, I'll either translate it or it's not that important. So, but first of all, there's the legal aspect. We did a data protection impact assessment, of course, to identify risk. It was necessary because of the scale we're working on, and also because of what we're trying to do. There's the ethical aspects. So we did a collaboration there with the Knowledge Center for Data and Society, which is a Flemish knowledge center, and we did multiple stakeholder workshops with the working group from the content partners, but also with different other advocates or stakeholders to kind of think through the consequences and the way we can mitigate risks on the ethical side. Then, of course, there's the technical decision. Do we build? Do we buy? So we did an analysis of that on the 3 different tracks. For speech to text, we see that there's mature tooling in the market. It's cost efficient and easy to integrate, so we decided to buy that. We worked with Speechmatics there. Then do we have the named entity recognition? Also with the same story there, mature tooling in the market, cost efficient, easy to integrate, so we bought that as well. That's TextRaiser we're using. And then thirdly, the face detection and recognition. It's a little bit more complicated there. It's partly available in the market, but what we wanted wasn't there. and it definitely has a higher cost per hour if you're processing a lot of hours, and also afterwards, if you want to keep processing, it becomes quite an expensive endeavor. We also had pre-existing experience in a previous project, FAME, where we did face recognition on photos, and we noticed that actually building our own pipeline was very feasible. So we decided to go for a build. So it's not about today, I'm not going to talk that much about the face recognition part, but in short, the results of the speech to text and the named entity recognition are that we executed them on 160,000 hours. We have transcriptions now for 109,000 in multiple languages, which was added in the project. During the project, 66% are in Dutch. The remaining part, we're unsure about the language, or there's no speech present or detected. As I said, it's a very diverse set of content. This is a bit of a preview as well, because the project doesn't end till end of 2023, and we're still doing some quality control, but we didn't want to skip out on this slide. We did named entity recognition on the transcripted data. We have now identified more than 3 million persons, 1 million organizations, and 1 million locations tagged, and where possible also linked to Wikidata. Right, let's zoom in on the face recognition part. What do we want? We want to identify faces and cluster the like faces. We want to match with known faces, of course, and persons. We want to identify the frequent unknown faces, and we want to manage and expand a shared reference set of known faces. I'll get back to that. So how does it work? I'm sure you've seen this in the course of the week, but so first we identify the faces, and then we identify a subset based on quality of the detected faces. Then we'll cluster them with if there's a strong likeness and if it's the same, we think, or the algorithm thinks that it's the same person. And then lastly, we'll go into, based on those clusters, on the face matching. If we're talking about quality, what does it mean? It means that we identify parameters like the box size, so how much of the face is actually visible, the pose, the lightening, the blurriness, the confidence of identifying a certain face. Time on screen is also a very important parameter. The duration of the face visibility, the number of the appearances of a certain person, and also the total screen time of one person in a video in total. These working parameters, or these parameters, were actually discussed with the working group and saying, like, which is the threshold for identifying a certain person. Then you get results like this, where the orange faces are not visible for long enough. The red faces are too much in the back or too small, and the green is somebody we will try to identify later on. On the technical side, scaling up, because we had so much volume, scaling up was very important. So we subdivided the processing in microservices. They complete a specific task and hand over, and that allows for parallel processing. We executed this, or we processed this in the cloud, which allowed for fast upscaling. We processed about 120,000 hours in 10 weeks. The machine learning algorithms we used were open source and pre-trained, so we didn't need to do any additional specific training for this project, which otherwise would have, of course, taken a lot more time. Intermediary results of the face recognition is we did one run to detect the faces. Of course, that's very processor intensive. About 3.3 million persons were detected, on average 27 per video. We did the face recognition, so the matching based on a reference set. I'll expand on that in the next slides. And that matching algorithm for the reference set with the detected faces that runs nightly, takes about 2 hours, is not that processor intensive, so it's easy to run. We found about 208,000 faces were linked to 2,500 persons from the current limited reference set. So based on the faces and the people we already knew, we were able to link those faces with actual people. So I talked about the reference set, and that's why I want to expand a little bit on that, because the reference set, what is it for us? It's a list of people with photos added to them, validated photos, links to Wikipedia, and also links to authorities that are, for example, private to partners. A thesaurus, for example, that's internal to a certain partner, can also be added to that. The whole idea is to have a sort of a shared management, because, as I said, we're kind of a collaborative institute or organization. We want to make use of each other's knowledge, and that means museums, archives, media, to identify people, because it's a big task, and also there's a big backlog of people from, I don't know, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So there's a lot of material and people to identify, and it's not going to be easy to do that. So actually making use of the wisdom of the crowd, but of the archive crowd, is very important. So the crucial element, this is what crosses the bridge between detection on one side and matching on the other side. And there's also an ethical component. For us, it's also the tool that means that adding somebody to that reference set is a decision to recognize this person, and that's a human decision. So it's actually where the human process and the ethical process comes into play and is centered around. So what happens? We took the example of the VRT archive, although they're not in this project, but will be part of the next, and the Flemish Parliament, for example. But that could be a cultural archive or a performing arts center, for example, to identify an actor. So if you have the face detection output, you have clusters of different people. And some people are only present in one archive, some people are present in different archives. We have a shared reference set. For example, maybe we have existing knowledge lists of people and photos we gather from different places, but we have an existing shared reference set. So there's a nightly match run, so people who are in the reference set will be matched. And we say we've identified Steve Stevart, who was a politician, and so we matched them in the different collections. So what if we can't identify somebody? Now, let's call an archivist, or let's hope that one of the archivists actually finds out, well, this is this person. So if this archivist identifies a certain person, he will add them to the reference set and say, like, this is this person. There's a nightly matching run, and suddenly it's not only known in the archive of the Flemish Parliament, but also in the VRT archive and all the other archives where that person is present. Everybody is happy. What does it look like? So this is the reference set, as I said. Sorry for the Dutch interface. So if you have Chef Slicks, there's a couple of photos of Chef there who are validated photos that are added. And below you can already see that there's a count, and it says, in your own material, dear archivist, in your own archive, that person is present 52 times, for example, and for a total of in view of 1 hour 47 minutes. And then you see a list below of the videos where that person is present. What can you do? You can edit that and change some information. Say like it's not the idea to gather all the information here, but rather to link to external authorities, and that's in on the lower side of the screen. You can add a public reference like Wikidata, but you can also add a private reference to your own thesaurus or somebody else's. Then, of course, what we do is we log everything. So if you edit or if you add a person or if you add a photo, you're logged because, as I said, it's collaborative. But we also want to engender trust and saying like, oh, if you added a photo and you added the wrong one, you know, we want to be able to see that, or you identified the wrong person. We want to be able to have a backlog and saying like, who identified this person? What was the mistake? It's a trust-based system, but we do log, of course. So then there's, of course, the frequently detected but unknown. We will actually saying like there's unknown persons in your archive, and we will say in your archive there's, for example, 4 videos of the person on top, which is Guy Verhofstadt. We say he's in total he's in view for 16 minutes, for example, and at the other partners you get a kind of a summary and saying like at the other partners there's 12 more videos and he's there for 5 minutes. So there you can take a decision, for example, saying like, is this person important enough to identify or not? Not only based on who he is in your own archive, but also the frequency where that person is present in other archives with partners. As I said, if here you have like a detail of that person, you say like, this is the videos where he's present. As I said, there's 4 videos. You have links to the actual video and the link to open it in the archive system to view it. And you can, on the right top, add a new person if you say, well, I know who that is. And then you get a link to the, well, not a link, but you get an overview of the material with the other content partners and saying like, there's 12 videos there. And then there's a list. You can't actually open the material because it's with the other content partners, but you get an idea of the number of videos and the time in view. So to wrap up, I don't know how I'm for time. I'm fine. Is it done? No, the project ends December 23. We're very enthusiastic about the outcome and also our partners. But of course, this is only the start because our partners will get to work with that material. And also there's some exercises to be done. For example, what information will we make publicly available? Do our partners have sufficient trust in the outcome? We'll only be able to go through that exercise once they see the actual output and they get to play around a little bit with the data and say like, wow, this is trustworthy. We would like to make that public or publicly available or searchable. Also, identifying and offering options maybe to users. Should we be able to exclude or include AI-generated content in searches to make it transparent? There's a number of questions in terms of user interface and user experience and user transparency that need to be answered as well. From also project result to a service, we need to develop this some more. We'll work on the documentation. We want to integrate it also in ingest workflows because now we've done like a big backlog exercise, but it would be nice if we can actually integrate it into our ingest workflows so that every material that's coming in might be processed in this way. The cost of operating to get that more clear, usage conditions, for our partners, and will we make it available to third parties? That's still a question that we're looking into. What's the way forward is there's another project which will use the same technology or the same services that's starting actually this month, yes, and will run through December 24. We will apply the processes to regional media and also part of the VRT archive. We also have a project called Visual Name Authority, which is actually focuses on the reference set application. To use it more as a shared authority, because now it's a project, but a decision about how are we going to share that authority information, how are we going to open that up, who can contribute and who can't. Now it was limited to the project partners, but expanding that as in view of a shared authority is really what we want to do in that Visual Name Authority project. So we'll work on processes, legal and ethical issues, and also extending the tool functionality. And also we're looking into possible international collaborations, like we think that what we've built is maybe usable in different contexts. So we're definitely open to a conversation about this project and using the outcomes. Last but not least, I'll plug a different conference, is the IPRS conference. We're organizing that together with some other partners in Ghent next year in September. So you're all welcome there to hear more about this project and many others. And a kind word to our sponsors, the IFTA Fund for Development and the European Union, and also the Flemish government. Thank you all for providing all the money. And this is time for questions.
Thank you, Nico. I think we can have time for one question, maybe. Okay, there is no question here. I have one question for you, maybe, from my side. Seeing that the airplay of a politician will be now registered by minutes, do you fear already that there will be some parties complaining about that they haven't had enough airplay on a specific channel?
Well, depends. You know, I'm thinking regional broadcasters probably have a good case of why they're not broadcasting somebody from another province or something like that. So I think in general it'll probably be okay because there was already there's already media studies and media researchers who look into impartiality of certainly the major broadcasters. So that kind of analysis is already done. The only thing is now it's instead of doing manual work, this is going to be much more automated. So it'll provide interesting input for researchers also to look back historically, like how were politicians positioned or how much time did they get in the 50s versus now, for example.
So thank you very much. Big applause, please, to Nico.
Thank you.